And here we are. So, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversation. My name is Einav Avni, Untangled Coaching, and with me today is Gabby Mottershead. So, hello, Gabby. Tell us a little bit
Hello.
about
Okay,
you.
good
How are you?
morning. Good morning. So, we've spoken before, you know a little bit about my story. So, 14 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive type of breast cancer. Like a lot of people do, I went through treatment. I went through chemotherapy, mastectomy, radiotherapy, reconstruction. And at the end of it, I expected to feel, well, I feel great now. I've conquered cancer. I can jump back onto my old life and feel invincible. That's what I thought. You know, you see these images of people running around parks in pink tutus saying, yeah, I beat breast cancer. Didn't feel like that at all. Didn't feel victorious. I felt exhausted. I felt depressed. I was very anxious. And also, I'd realised, I think, that the way I was living had contributed to me becoming ill. So, for many years, and I think a lot of us do, I've been stressed and it sort of creeps up on you. It's very sort of insidious and very gradual, more stress and more stress at home, at work, taking more and more things on again, as a lot of people do, getting busier and busier and thinking, well, that's just life. You know, life is busy and it's normal to be stressed. And when I stepped off that wheel, that, if you like, that hamster wheel, when I went through my cancer treatment, I thought this is not really the way that I want to be living anymore. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do to get going forward. I just knew I had to make some big changes in my life. And also the type of cancer that I had was very rare and aggressive, they told me, which is not the news that you want. The chances of recurrence were very high. So I wanted to do absolutely everything that I could to stop it coming back, because it sort of felt instinctive to me that there was some reason that I'd created this illness, that this illness had manifested in me. And this is not about apportioning blame. It's about taking responsibility. So I really wanted to take responsibility for my health and my recovery, and just do everything that I could going forward to stay healthy and stay well. So over the years, I've learned a lot of things, studied a lot of things, and that's really why I've set up my group now, Confidence After Cancer. I felt very alone, and I felt it was just me that was struggling after cancer treatment finished. But the more I spoke to people, it became sort of this, almost like a guilty secret, that people did feel guilty that they've recovered and they survived, when some people don't do. But why is the joy gone out of life? Why is the confidence gone? Where is the zest for living? And part of that is physical, the exhaustion, the treatments. Chemotherapy, yeah, great, it saved my life, but it left me with a lot of side effects and a lot of long lasting symptoms. So I've learned a lot about that, and I've connected with a lot of people. And so I set up a little Facebook group, Confidence After Cancer, and lots of people, Facebook that's the one good side of it, really. People from around the world were contacting me and saying, oh, this is how I feel, and I just thought it was just me. So that's really where I am now. So I've trained to become a coach, and I'm sharing what I've learned. And yeah, it's my privilege to do so.
Mm, that's incredible. And, and thank you actually for sharing that story straight away. There's so many questions. I think, as you know, we all know someone with cancer, either a survivor or someone who hasn't survived.
Mm-hmm.
And so you mentioned about this, that you knew somehow that the cancer was there for a reason. It was that something that you discovered or thought about as you were going through the treatment, or was it really something at the end?
Probably a little bit going through the treatment. And you hear this saying, things happen for a reason. And I don't think that's always true for everybody. Some people, I've heard of incredibly healthy people, incredibly fit people still getting cancer. And, but I think there's something maybe in the way that we're all living today, all of us as a society, where almost 1 in 2 people will experience cancer in their lifetime. And I just go back to when I was a child, not that long ago, but 20, 30 years ago, cancer was rare. And
Mm.
now it's becoming more and more common. So I think there is a lot of themes, a lot of things that you can look at to help yourself, as I said, about taking responsibility. So for me, for my purpose, it stopped me in my tracks, and it made me step off that hamster wheel. And it's really interesting, actually. I've got a friend who worked for years in a family business and didn't enjoy it, really wanted to get out, but because it was a family business, she felt immense pressure that she wasn't able to step away. But then she got diagnosed with cancer, and it almost gave her a bit of breathing space and a bit of an excuse to step back and say, no, this is not what I want to do anymore. So in her case, things sometimes do happen for a reason. Nobody wants to get cancer.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go through that. The outcomes are never certain. But for me, it's picking out. There are hopefully some good things. For me, I would never have studied nutrition had I not got cancer. It would have just, I was slightly interested. I wanted to lose weight probably most of my life. Always wanted to be thinner. Yeah, healthy sounded like a nice place to be, but it wasn't a priority for me. And when I got diagnosed with cancer, all of a sudden it was top priority. I had to become healthy. If I wanted to do everything that I could to stop the cancer coming back, then it had to move up my priorities. So in a way, that was a gift for me out of the awful time that I've been through. And as I say, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It was awful, not just for me, but for my family. It's scary times when you're going through that treatment, especially when you're being diagnosed with a disease and you're told the prognosis is not good. But it motivated me. It sort of lit the fire in me to say, I'm not going to just take this without a fight. I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that I get healthy. So
Yeah. And I
yeah,
love what you're saying about the nutrition side of it. I know when my brother was going with through his cancer journey, as pretty much as soon as he told us about the cancer, I remember sending him this book about foods, how to, different foods that he could have and stuff. Mysteriously, he never got it in the post, so it's really quite funny how things work. But I remember definitely that was immediately my thinking, because my brother was very healthy. He was like a health fanatic, before and I guess apart from the cancer. Um, but so you're saying that you it started as you were going through the treatment, but did you? I'm just curious if you also did you change your eating habit as you were going through the treatments already at that point?
yeah, and that's really interesting because I'm in Manchester, as you know, and we've got the world famous Christie Hospital here, and I had the top oncologist there for breast cancer. And I remember saying to him, I had a lot of questions in the early days when I started my chemotherapy. And one of the questions I asked him was, what should I be eating? Because it just felt to me, I wanted to do everything to get well. What can I do? What can I eat? And he just sort of poo-pooed that and said, oh, it doesn't really matter what you eat. And that just, I'm not a qualified oncologist at all,
Yeah.
but I just thought that doesn't feel right to me at all. So I went off on my own, if you like. I carried on my treatment. I did everything that the hospital told me, but I also started my own journey of looking at other things to support that. And one of them was to see a nutritionist. And I went to see a nutritionist, and it's now, what she told me is like I do without thinking now. So it's up in my water, drinking lots of water. It's not eating processed foods, but also not becoming obsessed with food as well, not becoming obsessed with people think when you go and see a nutritionist or you're recommending lifestyle changes that it's going to be quite a horrible thing to go to and you can't have any of the things that you enjoy. I can still have everything that I enjoy. I like cake, I like a glass of wine, I still have that, but it's in
Mm.
moderation. And one of the things that stuck in my mind was the 80-20 rule. So if
Yeah.
you're following the rules and being really super healthy and eating all the things that are really nurturing your body 80% of the time, you can. If you go to a party or you're having, a meal with friends, you don't have to be saying, oh, I'm sticking to this very strict diet and I'm not allowed any fun in my life, because food and drink is part of the pleasure of life, and I didn't want to give that up. So it's finding that balance.
Mm. Yeah, and so the non-processed food, that's really I'm curious about that. So and I also heard about the 80-20 rule. I like that, because for me the 100% sounds, as you say, it's like if you go something 100%, then it's so strict you don't really have any space to bring in anything else. So let's put things in moderation, as you say. But I'm curious about the not processed food. No processed food. Does that mean, is it raw? Is it what? Can you tell me a little bit about what
No,
it looks like?
Yeah, sure. It's thinking about food that you eat. It's not particularly, unusual things that we eat. We eat meats, we eat cheese, we eat all the things that normal people would eat, but not packaged together. And I always think if you look at a package of something and it's got words on there that you can't pronounce, or it's got ingredients in there that you don't know what they are, what has been done to that food? And somebody said to me years ago, when you go into a massive big supermarket and you've got one little aisle that's health foods, that's what it's called. Well, what's the rest of it? What's happened to the rest? Is that unhealthy food? And it's just eating food in its natural state. And there's so many fruit, vegetables, meats, all sorts of foods, bread that you can eat, just not that's been tampered with or messed about with or made into something that it's not supposed to be, something you just don't, your body doesn't recognize. And again, if I want to have something, I don't eat burgers, like homemade burgers. But if I wanted to eat a burger, I would. But it wouldn't be something that I eat every day. A pizza, I just listen to my body now, and I know when I've eaten a pizza, it doesn't agree with me. It lies heavy on my stomach. I'm going to feel bad afterwards. So if I'm out somewhere and I see a nice piece of pizza, I may have one, but it's that, for the moment on your lips, it feels great. And then afterwards, it's not doing you any good. So I think there's something about understanding your body as well, because I don't think there's one diet that suits everybody. And
Yeah.
I was talking to a nutritionist about this last week. We were at a social event, and it used to be that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Everybody talked about that for a long time. But now some people are doing fasting, and they fast in the
Yeah.
morning and just have water. And I think it's what works for you. There's no hard and fast, this is what you must do. Try fasting in the morning. And if that makes you feel great, good. Try, having a healthy breakfast. And if that makes you feel energetic and alive and alert, then great. That's obviously working for you. So everybody's different.
Yeah. Yeah. And I apologize for any noise that if you can hear. They must be emptying the beans for the ahead of the weekend. I was just going to say, so I don't know where I had it, but I had it recently that someone said that they wouldn't put in their body anything that they wouldn't put in their fish tank.
Ah, that's really an interesting one. Yeah, it is. Because you just know, sometimes you look at ingredients on things and you think, well, why do we need all these things? And a lot of it is, is mass produced. It's to make it cheaper. But you can. There's lots of supermarkets now. You can get cheaper food that is natural, that has not been processed.
Mm,
Markets are great. A lot of people now, and I'm just learning how to grow my own veggies. I've just started very small. It's not something I've done before, but growing your own things. I'm teaching my grandchildren, trying to teach them where food comes from, and
yeah,
so we're growing some vegetables, and they love that. They absolutely love it.
that's really awesome. But Sammy, you said about learning to listen to your body, and that's something that I find quite interesting because a lot of the time it's sometimes it's easier, like you say, when I eat pizza, I know to recognize, but sometimes it's really feeling not so well, but really not knowing how to pinpoint what it is that is causing it. Have you
Yeah.
come across that, or is it just me?
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, my husband had a health condition, and he had stomach pains last year. And one of the things we did a food diary, and it was just
Mm,
interesting to know, just writing down every. Because sometimes it's almost subconscious as well. And we try not to just sit in front of the TV now and eat food. We try and sit at the table and actually make the food, to think about what you're doing. And again, it's going back to, the way that I was before cancer, when I didn't really have time for lunch. So I would eat a sandwich at my desk without thinking about it. And probably an hour later, I couldn't even remember what I'd eaten.
yes.
So it's being a bit more mindful about what you do and taking that little bit of a time back and thinking, what you're eating and what you're drinking, it's either feeding your health or it's feeding disease if you go too far the other way. And what choice do you want to make? We all have choices every day, and that is something that's so powerful, something you can control, that's easy to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Yeah. I mean, as you say, right? It's about when you start, like cook more rather than go outside more, or takeaways and stuff like that. When you know
Mm.
what is going into that food, I have a little problem with my daughters. It's quite interesting because they're very fussy. I mean, they're they're nearly, well, one is teenager, the other one is nearly. they shouldn't be still so fussy. So sometimes I watch what they eat, and I'm like, actually, I'm a little bit horrified because, you know, where is the really the healthy stuff?
Yeah.
Um, and tell me, apart from the change in nutrition and that, what else did you notice, and what else did you change for yourself after your cancer journey?
Yeah. So really, I think there's thinking about your whole lifestyle. As I say, I used to be very stressed. I used to be very busy. So a lot of what I've changed is saying no to things now. I don't feel that I have to say no, say yes to every obligation or every invitation that I get or everything that I'm asked to do. And
Mm.
sometimes that's quite hard, for me as a mother. And I was a manager of a big team. And I was probably a natural people pleaser. I wanted people to like me. So if somebody asked me to do something, I want to say yes. And now I feel again, being ill sort of gave me permission to say, well, I'm not well, I can't do it. Well, I'm healthy now and I can't use that excuse. But what I can say is, I'd like to, but I can't. And I try and you take that little bit of a step back and not say yes to everything. So I think not only what I'm eating and what I'm drinking, but also what I'm thinking. And so I'm very conscious now of the things, the thoughts that I think. And we all
Yeah,
have that little voice inside your head. Sometimes it can be your own worst enemy, or it can be your friend. And I'm trying to train that little voice to not to be so critical of me, because for years I was very critical of myself, and now I'm trying to give myself a bit of a break and think, well, actually, like most people, I'm not perfect,
yeah,
but I'm going to forgive myself for mistakes that I've made, and I'm going to move forward and just try my best. So I think there's a lot about thinking, that sort of input that we have. I don't watch the news on TV anymore. Before, to me, I want to know what's going on in the world, but I don't need that constant. Here's another thing to be scared of, because that's how I feel when I watch the news.
yes,
I
yes,
don't feel it's informative. I feel we've been, shown an agenda, and a lot of it is fear based. And I don't want to live my life in fear. I want
yeah,
to believe that the world is, yes, bad things happen. I get that. Um, and I don't want to live in a bubble. I'm not, not naive enough to think that bad things don't happen. Of course they do. But actually, I think there's a lot of good news in the world. I think there's a lot of wonderful people doing wonderful things. And we never get to hear about that, because that's not really good news, is it?
yeah,
So it's scary things and horrible things that make them. So I don't do that. And the other thing is, I'm like you, my business or my coaching, a lot of it is done on social media. So that's the way I connect with people. But I'm very conscious of who I connect with on social media and who I follow. Are they people that are positive and bringing some positive energy into my life, and helping and supporting and being, kind, really? Or are they unkind, and are they cruel? And you see a lot of unkind and cruel comments on Facebook and on Twitter.
yeah,
And I choose again not to follow those people. it it's a balance sometimes, because I don't think I want to live in a world where everybody just thinks the same as me. I want to understand different points of view, but
yeah,
actually, my life is too short to be arguing with people on Twitter all day long. That doesn't interest me at all. So
yeah.
I think my mental state is really, really important, and I guard that, and I nurture it, and I look after it now.
Yeah. And I think this is so interesting because a lot of the time, my clients and people I'm in conversations with, it's somehow this belief that I am where I am and it's here to stay. And this is how it is. And actually now we're entering into the belief that I can't do anything about it. I can't change it. I don't know how to change it. I don't know what to do. And actually it's the recognition, as you said earlier, is basically being with the finger on your pulse, right? Like, is it working for me? Am I happy? Is it healthy? Is it making me feel good? When you kind of have these kind of conversations with yourself, you're able to recognize that yes, you've entered into that road not knowing that that was a dead end, and you can actually reverse back and say, not for me. I don't, it's, it doesn't feel right. And actually I feel that we maybe a little bit too much we get attached to where we are at the moment, and not and scared. A lot of it is, of course, is fear about making a change and doing something else, and especially not knowing how that is going to affect us, right? So say for example, I'm recognizing that I'm not happy where I am at, and okay,
Yeah,
so I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to try something else, but I have no guarantees that this new thing is going to be the thing. And people now become wary of starting something new because now they said, you know what, is this where I am now is not working, but at least it's familiar. So
Yeah.
what you are saying is actually, do you know what? It's a journey. Keep on
It is.
trying. Keep on looking for what makes you feel good.
Absolutely. And that, yeah, a lot of this comes up in the coaching that I'm doing with people. There's a couple of things you touched on there. And one is, your ego, if you like, your subconscious mind is trying to do a really kind thing for you by keeping you safe. And so
Yeah.
your subconscious mind is telling you, well, yeah, you might want to change your job or change something, but what if it doesn't work out? And so you're much better staying where you are, because at least it's familiar and you know what it is, and there will be no stress if you stay doing what you doing what you're doing. And the other thing I talk about with coaching client is really the cycle of creation, so our thoughts, and you've probably heard this before, two people can observe the same incident and see very different things, because we see the world, what is the saying, not as it is, but as we are. So we
Yes.
all have our own filters about what we put on. It's the meaning that you attach to something. Yeah, so it's the meaning that it's not so much the event. And a good example of this is if you walk into a room and some friends are there and they all go quiet when you walk in. If you're not feeling in a great place, you can get a little bit paranoid and think, well, are they talking about me? Maybe they don't like me, or
Mm.
what's going on here? But if you're actually very confident and feeling very upbeat that day, you might think, oh, what's going on here? They're talking about something they don't want me to know. That's maybe a bit of juicy gossip, or maybe they're planning a surprise party for me. Something nice might be good. So it's the same incident, but it's how
Yeah.
you see it. And we've all got choices. And
Yeah.
again, I'm not saying I'm perfect at all. We all have our ups and downs, but it's something that I'm conscious of it, and something that I coach my coaching clients on is to think, whatever's happened in your life, it's not so much that event, it's what the meaning that you give to it. For instance, I had a difficult childhood, and I could dwell on that and think how unfair that was, and poor me. And it wasn't fair what happened to me, but actually the good thing that's come out of that is I am so fiercely protective and devoted to my children and my grandchildren, and
Mm.
it's motivated me to become the best mother and the best grandparent that I can be. So it's the meaning that I've given to that, and it also makes me appreciate what I've got now. I've got a lovely little family that I've created. I didn't come
Mm.
from a particularly lovely family, but that it just means the world to me that I've got a family that is mine. My husband, my sons, and my grandchildren. So I choose to focus on that, and I expand that part of my life of what I'm thinking about, rather than thinking, remember that terrible thing that happened to me when I was a child. I try and put that in its place now. Not that it wasn't terrible, because it was, but
Mm.
I'm no longer giving it the power in my head. I'm not carrying it around with me anymore.
Yeah. And I think, as that's another thing that is sometimes difficult to do, right? I mean, I say to my clients a lot of the time that it's not, don't say why has it happened to me, but ask why
Of
it's
course.
happening for me, and that
Yeah.
helps to really recognize that the event has happened, and we're not here to change the event, but we're definitely changing how we look at it, and what we take from it, because it is really it's exactly that. The universe and everything that happens is so big and vast. How come this little thing or this big thing is in your path right now? So when
Yeah.
you're able to take it apart and recognize the lesson that is in it, is everything. Because yes, the event, as you said, can be really negative, but it's not
Mhm.
about that. It's about the lessons. It's about what moves you forward and what you're choosing to take with you. But I also really believe that, well, you said subconscious. I call it, I differentiate between our unconscious mind, which for me is, our best friend, because it has the blueprint of the best version of ourselves, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually,
Mhm.
and it guides us in what to do. And the other side of that is the negative voice that says, you can do this, but actually don't do it. If you haven't done it
Yeah.
yesterday, don't do it today. So I definitely, I like to that we're able to recognize that we have two voices, and identify where is this idea coming from. Is it from something that is trying to protect me, or something that tells me actually it's all going to be fine, trust, and it will happen. And so I really believe that when we go through illnesses and ailments and stuff like that, that this is a message from our unconscious mind that says, I'm trying to give you something. I'm trying to tell you something, and you keep ignoring me. You're listening to the negative voice, and you're fearful, and you're not doing. But here I am. I know your path. I know your purpose. trust me, trust the universe, it will happen. And when we're not able to listen, then of course these illnesses and stuff, they come up. So I really like what you're saying, that you were able to recognize that actually there was a reason, in a sense, for why the cancer was there, and
Mhm.
that you were able to identify things to move forward in, as you say, with the food and the drinks, but also the mental aspect of all of it.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
really, yeah. And so tell me, your coaching clients that come to you, what are they coming to you with? What how 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 is this journey together with them is going like?
Yeah, sure. So as I say, I think first of all, it's to a lot of people just to realize that they're not alone, and to feel that it's natural. It's something that probably it's not talked about a lot. Is every As I say, you get to end of treatment, everybody thinks, well, that's it then. That's great. You must feel amazing. And there is a certain, a pride in that, in coming, because it's tough
Yeah.
coming through that treatment and coming out of the other end. But also it's a time you can feel so alone and so exhausted, of everything that you've been through. Your whole world's been turned upside down, and probably all the things that you took for granted, like your health, like being able to do the things that you used to do, and you can't do that anymore. And it's almost like a grieving process. So it's like a part of you has died, that old person who never used to worry about things, or that old person that was full of energy, or that old person that used to love their job, or whatever it is that you miss from your old life, that's gone. And I'm not saying you'll never get it back, but it will always be different. It will be a different life going forward. So that's really why I work with coaching clients, is to set some goals and think, okay, what do you want your life to look like? Now you've accepted, you've got to work through some acceptance of the fact that, you might have had surgery, or you might have had treatments that have left you with side effects, but you can still have a great life. What does a great life mean for you? And there's still joy that you can be found in every day. It might be a different sort of thing that you used to do, but
Mm.
actually think about things that you think you used to enjoy. Were they doing you good? Were they helping you? Were they moving? Like you say, sometimes the illness can be just a bit of a wake up call to say, you can't go on like this. You
Hmm.
might feel good in the moment. It's like drinking a bottle of wine. Great, feels great at the time, but the next day, the hangover. And it's eating junk food, tastes lovely at the time, but the next day, you've got no energy. You're feeling sluggish, and you're not, you haven't got any energy and things like that. So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's really, I guess what you're saying is a lot of the time it's the attachment to our old lives and what things used
yeah,
to be. And actually a lot of the time, I guess it's not even that everything was perfect, but it's actually just the familiar. And now
yeah,
we need to forge a new future for ourselves, and what would that look like? So it's losing some of that familiarity that was kind of protective.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, so do you also work with people that are going through cancer at the moment, or is it really only with people that survived?
No, to be honest, not by choice, but it's more people that have finished the treatment. And again, I've studied nutrition, and I've got a lot of coaching tips and tools that would help people going through cancer. But it's more after the treatment is finished, and
Yeah.
it's probably a time for reflection, and a time for people to sort of process everything that they've been through. Because when you're on that roller coaster of going through treatment, you've got appointments probably every week, or sometimes it'd be several times a week. um and so you're busy with that, and then when it stops, and you think, okay, now what?
Now what?
Yeah, now what? How does life look like now? And it's working with somebody to think, okay, let's assimilate what's happened, put it in its place, let's learn the lessons, and think, do you want to make change? Do you want to go back to exactly how you were before? And some people do. They think, I don't want to talk about cancer ever again. I've had it up to here. I'm
Yeah,
not a cancer patient anymore. I don't like that label. I'm going back to being me. But for some people, it's actually, okay, well, I'm going to make some changes, but I'm not really sure where to start. And it's all a bit overwhelming. And
yeah,
what should I be eating? What supplements should I be taking? How do I fit this into my normal life when, this is all new to me?
yeah, yeah. And it actually, it just reminds me of people coming out of prison, right? Sometimes they don't know what to do outside of prison, and then they just end up going back to the old ways, not
That's
because
it.
they
Yeah.
necessarily want it, but just because they don't know anything else. So it's
Yeah.
so, yeah. And I do recognize what you're saying about, that feeling of being at the end of, being cancer free and having beaten the illness, and now that question of what now, I
Hey now,
definitely.
sorry, I'm really sorry. I've just got to answer the door. Be one
Yeah,
minute.
yeah,
I'm really
go
sorry.
for it. Yes, yes. I'll entertain myself and whoever is watching, and uh, just remind us. We're talking with Gabby about her cancer survival journey, and now she's a health coach, helping people who survived cancer to find their new lives, which are more meaningful, and maybe taking into consideration, um, what to do now that is different and more nourishing and healthy, and rewarding than the lives that they led before. Uh, and here's Gabby back. I was just summarizing.
I'm sorry about that.
No problem at all. Yes. Yes. So we were just talking about how we recognize that, yes, people at the end of the treatments, how the support is so important. But tell me, so I know you have a group. You mentioned the group before, and you have a podcast that is coming. Tell us about the podcast. It's so exciting.
So it's something, yeah, one of the things that, for me, keeps life exciting is I stay curious and I want to learn things all the time. So I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I find them really interesting. Like I say, I don't watch the news anymore. There's certain TV programs I don't watch, but I do like listening to a podcast and learning from other people, different opinions on life. So my Facebook group is Confidence After Cancer. And from that, and my podcast has just started out really with common things that people ask me. So I've just recorded 3 episodes so far. So it's a new thing for me, but I'm quite enjoying it. And it's weird really, because one of the things I talk to my coaching clients about when they're not sure, what they want to do or what they want to enjoy doing in their spare time, or maybe changing careers. And the question I always ask is, well, what did you want to be when you were at school? And when I was at school, I wanted to be a journalist, and that never happened for me. I went down a different path. I went into finance, and then, as you do, I got sort of on that track, and I was good at what I did, and I got promoted, and I studied, and I went down finance, and I ended up in a very stressful finance director's job. But now, sort of, anyone can be a journalist. Anybody can start a podcast or a blog or posting things on Facebook or social media. So yeah, so in a very roundabout way, I have ended up becoming a bit of a journalist, and that's fine because it's fun and I enjoy it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I definitely know some people in this group that might be suitable candidate for the podcast. So
Thank you. Yeah,
if you need any guests, then they definitely make a comment on the
definitely.
post.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd like to have guest speakers on again with different points of view. It's not all just about, I haven't got the answers to everything, and a lot of what I share is things that I've picked up from other people, and it's bringing all that together and sharing it with people in a very accessible way. People can listen to
Yeah.
podcasts anytime. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also really encouraging, especially as you say, in your own cancer journey. Your cancer was quite rare, and it's also about the hope, right? That actually it can happen, right? It's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and yeah,
It is, and people need people do like to hear that, a success story that, yeah, I went through this, and it's terrible at the time, and I can sympathise and empathise with what you're going through. But actually, there are a lot of people who survive, and there are a lot of people who go on to live better lives after the cancer treatment than they had before. So hang on to that, and little steps every day. Yeah,
yeah. I keep going back to that idea of, what is the message that we get when we have illnesses, be it cancer or anything else. It doesn't matter the severity or the impact on our lives, but when we recognize that there is something there, maybe something that is persistent and it doesn't go away, then having this, the courage to do the reflection and to recognize that actually where we are right now, it doesn't necessarily mean that we should stay like this, and there are things that we can do, to change anything. We can always change anything. We have the
absolutely.
power.
We do,
Yeah,
and yeah, and it's sometimes difficult as well, because your friends and family may want you to go back to how you were before, because obviously they love you, they want to keep you safe as well, and that's
yeah,
what they love the old you, they love everything about you, and they couldn't understand why would you want to change that? Why do you want to change your job? You always like that job. Why do you want to change your diet? You're eating what we all eat. Why do you want to do something different? And so, but if they care about you, they're going to want the best for you, and they will want whatever it is for you to be happy and for you to be healthy. And maybe what you're learning you can share with them as well and help them, because everybody has health problems of some sort, unless you're very fortunate, and there's very few people I know that have never had a health problem. Can't
yeah.
think of anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have something, but I think it is. I guess it's really interesting also about recognizing that now, post cancer in this case, you obviously you're not the same person, and your attitudes and your beliefs will be different. And actually now it's how to have that conversation with your family and your loved ones and surroundings, whatever. How do you now see that, yes, I've changed things in me, I am the same person, but there are some elements of me that I don't like them, I don't want them anymore. So how to have that kind of conversation. And
Yeah.
but,
And that can be challenging as well, but also I think as well, particularly for women, I think it's asking for what you want.
right,
And sometimes that's sort of, if you're a wife or a mother or an employee, your wants over the years sort of become secondary. They're not the most important thing in the world, and actually they are important to you. What you want is important to you. And again, I work with coaching clients just to ask without being aggressive or without starting a fight. It's just to say very softly and gently sometimes, this is what
yeah.
I need, this is what I need, this is what's going to work for me, and these are the reasons why.
Yeah. So what you say about asking what you want, some of my clients, what they're struggling with is actually setting up boundaries. And
Yeah,
it's a thing of, and that's exactly what you said. It's about learning to recognize that actually we don't have to do like people pleasing or to say yes to everything that we don't want. With
yeah,
kindness, we can actually look after ourselves and say, I'm sorry, but no.
yeah, yeah. And we come back to this a lot, of self-love. And it's,
Yeah.
again, when I was a child, I remember my grandmother saying it was the worst insult she could give to somebody. Oh, that one, she really loves herself, as if that was a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And so, these things stay in your mind, a long time later. But actually, there's nothing wrong with loving yourself. You love other people, you love your family. Why not show yourself some compassion and some care and put yourself first sometimes? And it's not about being full of your own ego or making your needs more important than anybody else. It's just knowing that you are as good as everybody else, and you deserve that respect as well, and that time and that care.
Yes. I think that's a very, you know,
Yeah,
underline and highlight and,
yeah,
stick it to the
definitely.
fridge.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a great message for everyone, for anyone listening.
yeah.
Great. So tell me, before we getting towards the end of the episode today,
Mhm.
what's one or two tips you can leave listeners with, something to help them recognize that they have a choice, that they can empower themselves to create their own happiness and the best, healthiest versions of themselves.
Yeah, sure. I'd say one of the things that probably nearly everybody that I work with who's maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed or a bit stressed is just, like I said, I've just talked about self-love, but about nurturing yourself and about renewing your energy. And some people almost wear it as a badge of honor. I don't need much sleep. Well, if you need to sleep, you need to sleep, and your
Yeah.
body can't function if it's not rested. So that's one of the things I swear by is, looking at the way that you're sleeping, the way you're resting. Are you taking enough time for yourself? Just some nurturing, some self-love. It can be whatever it means to you. It could be going out for a walk on your own, going in nature. Almost, I talk a lot with my coaching clients about a soft play date, which is basically a date with yourself. When people are going through marriage guidance, sometimes they say, oh, you need to have a date night. But
Mm.
for me, a lot of my clients need a date with themselves, just to go away and do something that's just for their own pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I really
So
like
yeah,
I
And
really
it's
like
funny,
that.
I met a GP once at the Penny Bronze Cancer Centre in Bristol, which is maybe a topic for another day, a wonderful place that's all about mind, body, and spirit connection and a role in healing. And I met a doctor there, a GP, and she said to me, "Oh, what do you do with it? It brings you joy every day." Like, oh, I don't know if there is something that I do every day that brings me joy. And she was like, "Well, why not?" And I was like, "Well, I'm busy." And she, "Busy doing what?" If you're not bringing joy into your life, what are you doing? What is the point? Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a
yeah,
I like that. I
yeah.
like
Me
that.
too. Great lesson I learned from a doctor. So yeah, share that with a lot of people. You're not enjoying life. What are you doing? Yeah,
Do you know, this is actually like, the opening line to such a massive topic, and I really believe that yes, we it's like, so often we're just too scared. We're too scared to make our lives work for us. It's
we
like,
are.
what do they think? How did they get here? Our conditioning, our coping mechanisms. It's all these things, but actually never really saying, do you know what? What do I want? What about me? I'm not here to make everyone else happy. I'm not here to live life according to other people, but I'm
No,
still not giving myself, the permission to do my
exactly.
thing, to bring joy, to do.
Yeah, exactly right. No, what age we are, or whether we've got health challenges or not, none of us know how long we've got on this planet. We never know what's around the corner. And so
Yeah,
why not just enjoy every day? Otherwise, what is the point to life? We are supposed to be happy. I think that is our natural state. And over time, that sort of gets knocked out of us a little bit. We think other things become more important, whether it's our job or obligations. But actually, being happy is one of the fundamental reasons that we are here. Yeah.
yeah. So let's find something to finish on a high.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe, I mean, you told us a little bit about the podcast, and you said that you have a program, a 12 weeks program, something that you're
Yes,
starting as well.
yeah, I do, and that's going to be published probably the end of this month. And it's a 12-week step by step. It's a self-study group, and it's called Survivor to Thriver. So it's about the premise that actually, surviving is not just enough. We're not here just to survive. We're here to thrive, to enjoy every day. And so we're looking at all sorts of aspects of life, of well-being, of nutrition. What can you do? A lot of mindset work, about a lot about finding joy, whatever that means, and it means different things to different people. What can you do to relax? What can you do to nurture yourself? What can you do to set goals? If you've got ambitions and there's things that you want to change in your life, how do you do that? And it's support to do that as well. So yeah, it's something that I've been working on for a long, long time. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to launching that.
Excellent. And when you do, please share it in the group. There will be people that we might find it interesting. So absolutely,
Thank
let
you,
them
Amy.
know.
I certainly will. Thank you so much. Lovely
Excellent.
talking to you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We're coming to the end of the talk, but really, thank you so much for all your wisdom and your kindness, and for sharing everything, and of course to letting us know that there is hope, and
Oh, well.
cancer is not always yes, well, we know what it is, but I really very much enjoy talking with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. It's lovely. Thank you. What a lovely show you have. Thank you, Aina.
Thank you.